Hi guys, and welcome to a Hector Lecture Guide to the fight Criterion Dungeon Boss 3. This is Zeless Gah. If you're wondering why I'm producing a guide to a fight that was released like 6 months ago, if I'm being honest, it's because I found Criterion a bit of a chore, and so I haven't really been motivated to make a guide for this content. But hey, if you're determined to try to clear this, then I hope you find this useful. This third fight starts with a show of strength, which is a raid-wide, mitigate and heal, or shield. And you get your first major mechanic, Infern Brand. This has 2 sets of portals start to appear with a fireball in each of them, and I recommend splitting 2 players to the north, 2 players to the south, preferably tanks and melees north, healer range south. Cryptic portals got to get cast, and each of those fireball portals is going to get rotated. This rotation you might have seen from the variant dungeon version. Now, the way I recommend solving this is you want 1 player in each of your partners to be the fixed player that will only go to one of these 4 spots. One of these spots in the north and one of these spots in the south will be saved. For this guide here, I have tank and healer as the fixed player. The second player has a flex spot that's sort of diagonally opposite that little square corner in each quadrant. That's their default position they go to. If the portals make that one unsafe, this is the flex spot, and they go to the one that's nearest to them. Let me show you what this looks like. So for instance, for this particular side here, players would dodge to the east and west respectively. They'd go to their spots, and when the portals go off, there's explosions. Now, let's break it down. First off, the player that is looking in the fixed spot is only going to one of these 2 on their side. They only need to look at the vertical rotating portal. So in the south, the healer needs to look at the vertical rotating one, go, it's rotating over that way. The whole west side is unsafe, so they'll be heading over towards the east fixed spot. The tank in the north looks at theirs, sees that the portal's going to rotate this way, and they are similarly also going to head over to the east fixed spot. By them moving over there, the DPS in the flex position see that and go, okay, this is the safe side, and now they don't even need to look at the vertical portal. They instead only need to look at the horizontal portal. The ranged in the south looks at theirs, and they want to go to the red safe spots. If that one's being covered up by an explosion, that's where they flex over to the blue one, which is nice and in the middle of the arena. The melee, on the other hand, looks at their portal, sees it's not going near either of them. They want to default to the default spot, which is the red square that I have here. If all 4 players go to their correct locations, Fire Steel Strike gets cast, the portals rotate, you dodge them, and here's why we needed to all be spread out. Fire Steel Strike has the boss jump onto 2 players with a massive cleaving AoE. It gives you a vuln up, and if any other player gets hit by your jump, they're going to get knocked back, probably into the wall of death, and die. After Fire Steel Strike goes off, the boss will cast Blessed Beacon and try to target both of those players with the vuln up with a line AoE. They need to be protected by having a non-vulnerable player stand in front of them. I recommend defaulting to your north and south pairs, so tank with melee, healer with ranged, and if both players from one side get hit, use rolls as your backup. So here the healer stacks in front of the tank, and the ranged in front of the melee. Just make sure you're not too near to the middle so you don't accidentally get clipped by both line AoEs, as it will kill you. Afterwards, pull the boss a little bit away, and prepare for Fire Steel Fracture, which is the tank buster. It's got a very small conal cleave, pop a couple mitts, and you're fine. Afterwards, we get the second major mechanic. The boss casts Infern Brand, and when it finishes, a bunch of things appear. First off, every player is going to get a debuff that marks them either 1, 2, 3, or 4. Secondly, there are tethers, both red and blue, each numbered either with a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. There is some randomness to the order that the tethers can appear in. Finally, we get some fiery portals that appear on a random side of the arena. We need to spot where these are because these determine which tether set we're going to break first. Because these portals appeared in the north, we are going to be breaking the tethers that run from north to south first, in this case, the fire tethers. Had they appeared either on the east or west, we would be breaking the blue tethers first instead. The most important thing to do for this mechanic is to get into your correct starting position. So, to know you're in the right spot, you need to be as near as possible to the tethers that match your debuff. If we take healer, for instance, they have the 1 debuff, so they're stood directly in between the 2 1 tethers. Ranged has the 2 debuff. Now, they can't be stood right next to the 2, but the corner they're in has them as close as possible to the 2 tether on both sides. To know you've done these starting positions correct, you should have 2 players in each corner, and those 2 corners should be diagonally opposite each other. When the boss casts Cryptic Flames, your debuff changes slightly, and you can now break tethers. These tethers have to be broken in order, 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and you can only break a tether by matching your number debuff to the tether. If you try to walk into one that doesn't match your number, you're going to get stunned, the tether won't break, and you're probably going to wipe the party. About this time, another set of portals will appear, but don't worry about these for now. Have your 1 player immediately walk into the 1 tether, then the 2 player into the 2 tether, 3 player into the 3 tether, and 4 player into the 4 tether. Now that all these tethers are broken, remember those fiery portals in the north? Yeah, those are about to do line AoEs, so we need to get to this wherever the laze is that there are no fiery portals. In this case, it's over on the far west side. The boss will cast Cast Shadow and look at the cones that appear and make sure you position in one of these slower filling cones. Right when the cast is about to finish, those 2 lasers are going to go off, so make sure you're not in that lane. About this time, the magic vulns are going to fall off for the party, and you can start to break the blue tethers. I recommend dodging the first Cast Shadow hit before starting to try to break any of the tethers. As soon as you're safe, 1 breaks the 1, 2 breaks the 2, 3 breaks the 3, 4 breaks the 4, and now look at the portals over on the west, get out of their way. Before these go off, the boss will start to cast a Firesteel Fracture, so make sure your tank is away from the rest of the party so that you don't accidentally cleave them. After this, we're going to get another Show of Strength raid-wide to mitigate and shield through. And then the big one. This third mechanic is probably the hardest wall in all of Criterion Dungeon. Infern Brand gets cast, and you get portals in the north and south, some scepters down the middle, and you get some lasers that haven't gone off yet but are over on one of the sides of the arena. The boss will cast Infern Waves, which activates the scepters in the middle. And then the boss casts Banishment, and all hell breaks loose. Some of the tethers and the scepters in the middle start to spin. You get your own personal teleporter. The teleporters on the outside start to spin. This looks chaotic, so let's break it down one at a time. First off, this mechanic as a whole is really just about the scepters in the middle. Either the inner set or the outer set are going to spin first, and we need 2 players capable of baiting AoEs from them. They shoot cones, 90-degree cones, at the 2 nearest players, and we need to make sure that these cones don't hit anyone else. Afterwards, the other set will go. If the outer set goes first, the inner set goes second, and vice versa. And again, the 2 nearest players bait those cones, and they just need to bait them away. And if it was like this, it would be really easy, but the problem is that those lasers that appeared earlier on will extend over and prevent you from being able to walk. You cannot get through those lasers. Instead, you would need to use the teleporters on the outside to be able to teleport back across those lasers, and your own personal teleporter to do it the same. By the way, you also have a debuff that means if you don't teleport, you will die, so there's no getting around this with any sort of crazy invuln walking around the outside death wall strats. What I'm about to show is what's called JP Braindead strat, and in my opinion is the easiest way of solving this. To start, how we deal with the conal cleaves is using the waymarks. As long as you have 1 player on each of the waymarks as shown, it doesn't matter if you have the outside cleaves or the inside cleaves, everybody's fine. So this mechanic is solved by making sure that when both cleaves go off, you have 1 player per waymark. So let's break down how we're going to do this. First off, when all of the portals appear with banishment, you have 2 things to focus on. First, red north, blue south. If your teleporter is one of the red clockwise teleporters, you are heading north. If you have one of the blue counterclockwise teleporters, like the DPS have, you're heading south. Again, which teleporter you get is random, so use this rule, red north, blue south, to know where to go. Secondly, east in, west out. Your teleporter has a fixed direction of which it's sticking out from you. If your teleporter is sticking out to the east, like healer and melee, they're going to stay on the inside near the boss. If you have one that's sticking out to the west, like tank and ranged, you're going to go to the far outside, so the far north and south. If you're in these positions, you're almost done. All that's left is to correctly read the outside portal on your side. There are 2 portals. One of these portals is your friend. That portal will rotate back towards the middle of the arena and help you leapfrog over the laser. The other portal is not your friend. It's going to teleport you into the wall of death and murder you. Don't use that portal. To solve this correctly, the players on the outside are going to stand directly on the spinny the spinning arrows of their portal that's going to help them. And their partner on the north and south is going to stand where that portal is about to rotate to. What this means is when those portals rotate, the players in the north and south are going to swap places with each other. They're each riding the same teleporter, but they're riding it opposite directions. As soon as this goes off, immediately run onto the waymarks, ready for the first cleave. Doesn't matter if this comes from the inside or the outside, you will be fine. Afterwards, just hang out. Your teleporters, your personal ones, are going to naturally rotate. They will automatically rotate you to where you want to be, and then immediately go back onto the waymark. The second cleaves go off, and you've done it. If you've made it past this point, you can clear. Nothing past this point will be anywhere near as hard as what you've just done. There's a Fire Steel Fracture tank buster, so once again, make sure you don't cleave anybody else in your party and pop some bits. And we get the fourth major mechanic. This, again, has the group split into 2 players in the north and south, and you also want to have a priority. Here we have facing the boss, tank healer going left, DPS going right. These fiery portals are going to get rotated by their teleporters. A bunch of spaces are going to be unsafe, and we just need 1 player per square. You can use the grid on the floor to be able to know where to stand. When Cryptic Portal gets passed, we get a bunch of arrows spinning where these teleporters are about to go. First, read the middle one. Look at where that teleporter is going to get teleported to, and it's going to make an entire vertical lane unsafe. Then, one at a time, read the ones on the outside. They're going to rotate and make 2 of the horizontal lanes unsafe. This will always leave you 4 squares, and your players just need to adjust into those 4 squares. Make sure you stay on the outside corner of them so that you don't accidentally overlap when the boss does Fire Steel Strike. Just as it's about to finish, the portals are going to teleport, they explode, and the boss will jump on 2 random players. Just like before, this is followed by a Blessed Beacon, so have your partner player stand in front of them to protect them. Just to rewind to show you one thing, if during Infern Brand at the beginning the middle portal is being teleported east-west, is the direction that it's going, you don't even need to look at the arrows. Whether it's rotated counterclockwise or rotated clockwise, that portal is going to end up in the middle still, and so you know the entire middle lane is unsafe. This can help you to solve it a little bit quicker because you can work this out before you even see the arrows. This is followed by a Show of Strength raid-wide, and the final major mechanic. Now, this mechanic, when Infern Brand is cast, is going to spawn a couple of different scepters, north, east, south, and west, and Infern Wave is going to give everybody some familiar debuffs, activate those scepters, and you're also going to see tethers. To be fair, this is a fairly complicated mechanic, and how you deal with it depends on which dungeon you're doing. If you're doing the Savage version, you're probably going to have to do this properly to be able to have enough time to kill the boss. But if you're not, if you just want to clear Criterion dungeon, then let me show you a strat. Have each player go to a set corner. We're using the same system, tank melee north, healer range west, and tank healer goes left, healer right, DPS right. This is the exact same position we used for the previous mechanic. You are going to stay in this corner. The cleaves are going to go off, and you don't care where they start with. Just make sure as a healer, you make sure the party's healed enough to not die. About the time that the second cleave goes off, Pure Fire is going to get cast, and you're going to see puddles. Just dodge those, and then move back where you came from. Another cleave will go off. The boss will do a Cast Shadow, which you can dodge in your little quadrants. And a fourth cleave will go off. And this whole thing takes so long that even with all of this happening, you have about 6 more seconds before, because of debuffs, you are going to die. This is, for most groups, more than enough time to be able to meet the Criterion Dungeon's DPS check on even a kind of scuffed run. So I don't recommend trying to do this mechanic, just solve it the easy way. If, on the other hand, you are trying to clear the Savage version, you're going to need the time, so here is how to do that mechanic. For this, pay attention to which of the portals, which one of the scepters gets activated first. The players with the 3 and the 4 are going to go stand next to it, while the players with the 1 and 2 stay middle and are getting prepared to break their way towards that. Cryptic Flames gets cast, the tethers your debuffs get activated, and you start to break your tethers. Have the player with the 1 start to move towards the 1, the player with the 2 start to move towards the 2. Around this time, the second scepter is going to activate and start to spin. You can ignore this. It will always be directly opposite the first one. The 1 breaks the 1, the 2 breaks the 2, and almost immediately the 3 and 4 get cleaved. Their magic Vuln falls off more or less instantly, so they can start to run up and break the 3 and break the 4. The 1 and the 2 player now are going to go and bait that scepter up in the north, and the 3 and the 4 should head back down south. You're going to see again the 3rd scepter activate, and you don't need to know about this. You don't need to care about that because it will always be in the direction of the 1 and the 2 tether. So see how the red 1 and 2 tether are west? That's how you knew the 3rd scepter was going to be west. 1 and 2 bait the scepter in the north, and we have 3 and 4 south because Pure Fire gets cast and puddles get dropped, and it's really easy if you can all just move back towards middle. The 1 and 2 are going to have their magic Vulns drop off quickly, and they should immediately start to break the next set of tethers. 1 breaks, then 2 breaks, and 3 and 4 can go to bait the scepter. The 4th scepter is the only one left. You will know which one it is. The boss is going to start to do a cast shadow. You want to dodge this, but as near to the tethers as you possibly can, because you really need to start to break the 3 tether as soon as the first cast shadow goes off. So right here, while dodging, the 3 tether should immediately break 3, 4 tether should immediately break 4, and as soon as they're broken free, the 1 and 2 need to absolutely haul butt to get over there, because this is a very quick bait on the 4th one. If that's all done, all that's left is a Fire Steel Fracture Tank Buster. Mitigate it, don't cleave the party, you've done this before. A Show of Strength Raid Wide to shield and mitigate through. And finally, 1 long cast Show of Strength. This final Show of Strength serves as the enrage for the fight, and so if you've not cleared it by now, that's it. Thanks so much for watching this guide. Hope you found it useful. Let me know in the comments section if you've got any tips or suggestions or any other fights that I probably should have done ages ago that you'd still like to see. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.